G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Madsen M50. This is a Danish-designed submachine gun that was originally designed in the 1950s and was mostly exported to the Asian countries. It took part in wars like the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong used it, and even the Korean War. This thing saw a little bit of action, but yeah, it's a very simple design here. It's basically two bits of steel clamped together, a magazine and a barrel, and you're pretty much good to go. This thing has custom sounds, custom animations, and quite a bit of customization to go along with it as well. We're starting off with a semi-auto receiver doing 169 damage, which is just shy of 1,000 DPS for a submachine gun, with pretty good range to start off with. So yeah, good start. I feel like this weapon's stats are going to be quite good if that's just the standard variant of this thing. Now in universe, this thing is created by the Independent Arms Group, which if you look closely at the suppressor from the assault rifle, well, they've got their name painted on that. So I guess in universe they got the rights to this, or just started producing these things because they're cheap and easy, and, you know, America was going through the resource war, so it stands to reason that America might produce this cheap submachine gun in order to keep their backlines and support crews protected away from the front lines in a cost-effective manner, allowing them to utilize more of their cash to arm the front lines with, like, laser guns and heavy caliber assault rifles and such. But, you know, that's a little bit of headcanon there, but it makes sense to me. Okay, attachment time. First of all, we've got receivers, and the standard receiver giving us 169 damage as discussed earlier. Standard auto receiver is giving us much less, which is funny because it seems like, well, like the vanilla game, this thing has slightly higher damages on the semi-auto receivers to offset the DPS gain that you get out of the automatic receivers, but unfortunately they've tuned the receivers right up for the semi-autos, so if you go over to your advanced auto, you actually get less DPS, which is really quite interesting, isn't it? Because, well, there's no reason to put on an auto receiver now when you're getting better DPS out of the semi-auto one, and much better in terms of bullets per damage there. That's almost 300. That's heaps. Sure, we'll do that, and we'll move on. Next, we've got the barrels. Standard. You can have a short one if you want. Wood gives you lots of extra range. A little bit of Fallout New Vegas service rifle in that barrel there. They've got a longer one there. 305 range. Fluted, less range. And you've got the heavy barrel here, which will increase your damage but reduce your range compared to the standard by a little bit. So you'll have to be up close and personal to actually use this thing. So maybe we won't use that for the semi-auto version. We'll go for a longer barrel here to get our range up to 305, which is a lot. I think that's way higher than what you can get out of the vanilla game guns, even without suppressors. So, oh, there you go. Alright, next up, we've got the grips, which is just your grip thing. You can put some tape there, and the sport grip here gives you a reduction in AP costs, and this wood one looks pretty sharp as well, but we'll use less AP if we use that one, so we'll chuck on the sports grip. Now, we've got to the magazines. You get standard, homemade, which is that jungle tape. Oh, that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, that magazine's not upside down, so you can't flip them over. You'll have to cut the tape open and then flip okay, they didn't do very well there, the jungle tape. That's not how it works. Next, you've got a large magazine to just get better ammo capacity. This is a banana magazine, which according to this gives you the damaging prefix on it, which is an increase of damage, not by a lot, but it's fairly significant on the DPS side. But yes, that's giving us more damage, faster reload speed and AP costs, an extra large magazine for even more bullets, but how am I to say no to a damage boosting magazine in the banana one? Very technical term, banana. And next up, we've got the sights. We've got standard iron sights on right now, which is just press at the front, circle at the back, line them up, shoot at what you will, and you've got a pretty good picture of what you're shooting at. So simple yet effective. But you've got these homemade sights right here, which is an interesting thing. As you can tell, it's just a cardboard tube that has been taped to the top of the submachine gun, which is pretty awesome because I used to play with Nerf guns outside with my brother when I'm growing up, and we used to do this shit all the time. It was unreal, so I quite like this. But you could make the argument that this thing doesn't really meld well with the rest of the aesthetics of the submachine gun, so you could give this one a miss if you don't like it, but it's kind of cool. I quite like it. There's a bit of charm in it. And next, you've got the options for the Picatinny attached sight. So this one's holographic sight, pretty simple. a red dot sight, which is pretty much the same, but just a simple red dot. And this reflex sight looks almost like a scope, but no, it was just a simple reflex sight with a cool crosshair there. That's actually kind of cool. It's nice that you can see them, so we'll throw that one on, and we'll move over to the muzzles. Starting off with no muzzle at all, we can move on to the homemade muzzle, which is even more nonsensical than the last homemade attachment, because this one refers to itself as a bolt, and I don't want to be the actually guy here, but actually, that is a nut. Mate, you can do better than that. Next, we've got a compensator muzzle, sport muzzle, just different options for muzzle brakes on these things. Oil can suppressor, I think, is cool. It uses the same sort of concept that you see for the suppressors and the pipe guns, but this one gives it a cool little red rocket sticker on the front there, which I think is kind of awesome. The red sort of sticks out a little bit, contrasts well with the rest of the submachine gun, so I actually quite like that for your homemade sort of raidery approach with this thing. But you've also got, interestingly, a heavy muzzle, which will improve your damage again. This one looks a little bit like an MG42 muzzle, which is kind of cool. Maybe the assault rifle muzzle in the vanilla game. One of the, I believe it's a compensator actually, looks a little bit like this as well, which is awesome. And you've also got a suppressor here as well. This will increase the barrel length, but decrease your range. That's just standard Fallout 4 balancing techniques there, but that'll get us 407 damage thanks to Ace Operator with 2200 damage for our DPS, so that's pretty good. We'll do that, and we'll be certain to utilize this thing without any muzzle attachments or without any suppressors, so you can hear this thing when it's non-suppressed. But this one, we're going for straight damage. Now, I think I missed out on the stocks, or rather, they're down here. So we'll throw a stock on. So we've got no stock at all, like you see now. Standard stock, which is what you'd see most photos of this actual submachine gun have attached to it. You've also got a homemade one, which appears to be made out of rebar, and a flimsy bit of wood at the back. Careful not to get splinters on that thing. Next, you've got a folded one, which is folded around. Leather one, which is covered in a nice little bit of leather there, makes it slightly more comfortable. Woodstock, which is not a bourbon brand or a, Woodstock, not to be confused with the bourbon brand or the music festival, but better AP costs, better recoil, exceptional style. So, yep, sold. And there's also options for heavy stock, which almost looks like a Dragunov stock. So that's interesting. A little bit of that Eastern influence going into that one, but sure, that's kind of cool. Oh, never mind. Apparently this stock increases the damage as well. So, yes, anything that increases the damage on this thing will be taken. So, basically everything's going to look like this now. Lastly, let's look at the paints. So, we're starting off with the desert paint here. Gives it a nice little tan thing. It'd be cool if they could make this paint a little bit more like the Gobi campaign desert rifle in Fallout New Vegas. But I'm getting those vibes, so that's kind of cool. We've got the gunner's paint here, which gives it a slight green tinge. You can barely notice it unless you switch between these different variants, but it's subtle and I like it. It's got the gunner's skull there and a couple of tally marks and some arrows on it for reasons that I don't quite know. Aesthetic, I suppose. We've got a Minuteman version, which gives it a nice blue paint. Protect the people at a moment's notice has been painted on there as well, and the Minuteman insignia, as you can see. Rusted paint gives it more of a raider appearance, which I appreciate. I think that's actually kind of cool. Got urban camo, which it gives it a digital looking camo, probably a little bit too tactical for the rest of the weapons, sort of a more lore friendly aesthetic, but there's an option. There's woodland camo, that's more realistic as what you'd find in the Fallout universe, I think, but yeah, it's very cool paint. Let's go with the gunner's paint, because that's where we're going to be visiting first. Also options for legendary effect provided by legendary modification. Yeah, let's leave those alone. I think we've got quite enough damage with this thing, to be honest. The M50 is injected onto the Lev List, but you won't find it in shops, so I'm standing here for no reason. No, I'm not buying, Cleo. You'll find it on Raiders, and you'll find it on Super Mutants, 9mm at level 4, but past level 20, you'll find the 45 ACP versions. They do more damage than the 9mm. 3 unique M50s getting around the Commonwealth, so I'll show you where to find them. The first one can be located in a location called Lake Quannapowitt, and bring your rad suit along, because this one requires you to go for a swim. We're starting off here because this is where I put Nina. she's got a quest for you, but yeah, that's a mod for a different day. So need to do a lot of work on that mod. But somewhere in this lake is a buried trunk, and in that trunk it contains a unique. So I'll show you where to get it. So right now we're here on the map. You'll find it pretty much in this area here. So we'll go for a dip. Even if you do have the Aqua Girl perks, you will find that you'll be irradiated because there's plenty of radioactive barrels here. If you can find a boat and a bathtub, you're in the right place. You can enter this mode here to make sure you don't get too irradiated whilst you're looking at this thing. But here is Rust Bucket. It gives you the Poisoner's Legendary effect and the 9mm things. Now, I installed the munitions variant of this thing, and for some reason, the standard one they gave me fires the 45 rounds, so sure, that's interesting. Anyway, so we'll grab this thing, and there's no thingers to go along with it. So now we're horribly irradiated, so we'll go out here and we'll start getting those reds out of our system. We've got the solar-powered perk, and this is Christmas Carla, by the way, and don't worry, she's not real, she can't hurt you. The next unique you'll find is located within Fort Strong, which is here on the map. If you've ever done Show No Mercy for the Brother to Seal, it takes you right here. There's a bunch of super mutants, I've already cleared them out, so follow what I do and you'll find this thing. So simply go to your right and keep going to your right till you find this novice lock. Open her up, bring your bobby pin, by the way, and you can find Warhawk in this trunk. Bullets exploded impact, doing 15 points area effect damage, and it's got a cool little A10 little shark mouth on it too. Explosive, yes, very nice. This unique can be found at Big John Salvage. We've been here many times on the channel before to shoot the super mutants, but we've killed them all for the sake of showing you where to find this particular submachine gun. So in this area here in the main building, you'll find that there's a safe here, which is locked advanced. If you don't have advanced lockpicking, what you can do is hit this switch out here, and this will allow you to get into a hidden shelter. And if you're high enough level, I believe it contains a railway rifle. If you go in there, you'll find a key. It's easy to see. It's got a big glowing Nuka-Cola Quantum little pendant on it, and you'll be able to get that key to open this thing without the use of lockpicking. But if you've got the sufficient skill to open it up, inside you'll find the Hot Rod, which is chambered in 45s and has the Incendiary legendary effect with a cool red and yellow flamey paint, yes. Alrighty, we're back at Immersive Gunners Plaza. Here is our M50 in first person. This scope has actually got a little bit more of a magnification than I thought, so we might be pretty okay with this thing. There's your reload animation, also works in third person as well. You'll notice it's got the tactical reload component, so we don't have to pull a charging handle back if we don't have a bullet, or if we already have a bullet in the chamber. Next, we've got our Woodland Camera one. This one is automatic with a suppressor with a heavy barrel to make it more damage. It's the more damaging barrel, but here's the issue with the automatics. It doesn't fire nearly as fast as what you'd expect, and even in VAFs, just to give you an idea of how this thing goes, I've found that in normal VATs this thing fires in a quite normal fashion, but for some reason the rate of fire has been tuned all the way down for the advanced receivers, so it's not nearly in sync with the sounds and what it should be at all. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Here is the Rust Bucket. This one I've just given the advanced semi-automatic receiver. I've upgraded all of the uniques to the most advanced semi-automatic or automatic receivers. So yep, that's what this thing looks like. And in third person, it looks like that. Very nice. And we've also got the explosive one here with a big shark A10 mouth. Now the rate of fire on this thing seems to go way better. It makes sense when firing this thing in third person. Even this one's slightly faster somehow than what we've seen in the other ones. So I don't know what the deal is with this one, but it seems to work better slightly with this one, and in third person better still. And lastly, we've got Hot Rod here. Same sort of deal. This thing does fire a little bit faster. Perhaps the suppressor factor is making it a little bit different, but yeah, since all of your shots in VATS will be taken in third person, you'll be getting the proper rate of fire out of this thing. And yes, this thing does suit the red aesthetic we've got with the outfit we've going on. This is VTOR Christmas 2024. I've redone Carla's lipstick and face paint to match the colors of the outfit. And I've also changed her to being blonde instead of her usual Nuka World blue hair, which even if you do change her hair color using the regular looks menu way, it doesn't change because, you know, it's like she's hard-coded to have the blue hair that I've set for her in the creation kit. So yes, the blonde chili era is still happening, and Carla, she doesn't escape that. She gets turned blonde as well. Honestly, Mariah Carey made the blonde hair and the Christmas colors fashionable, and she will do so for many years past it, unless everyone gets sick of Mariah Carey from this year onwards, but honestly, I don't see that happening. Anyway, so as we're sniping away at these gunners, things are going pretty well. As you can tell, we're getting a ton of damage on this thing, and if we can nail headshots, they're a little bit difficult to do since we don't have, you know, the best sight picture here. We're not getting the maximum zoom in, and by the time we're aiming at these guys from this sort of range, like the dot that I'm using to aim is much bigger than their heads, so that affects my precision a little bit. But even said, some of these lucky headshots we're getting, they're doing 2,000 points of damage or something crazy like that. Now we're getting a little bit out of range on this thing, but as a sniper weapon, she's doing pretty well. Okay, and now we can go in and utilize our automatic version, which will do so in VATS. Let's see how she goes. It's actually not super generous on its AP usage, which is curious. We've seen a lot of weapons that are, this one just isn't. And now we get to the point where, yeah, that first person rate of fire is going to hurt us. So yeah, something like that can easily be adjusted in the creation kit, but it does sort of take away from the experience of this weapon. Let's try to use the VAFs a little bit. It seems to do okay, I suppose. That mysterious stranger is showing up. I've got 3 shots left. They'll be criticals. It is rather unfortunate that you can't really use this thing as a proper stealth commander weapon simply because the rate of fire is so gimped. So, yeah. Again, easy to fix, but it hurts. It hurts having a rate of fire like that for an automatic submachine gun. Anyway, so let's utilize this poisonous one. You'll see the numbers gradually come up from them. They've probably got that green poisonous effect on them. You can see it. Honestly, the poisonous thing is kind of flavor, although there's practical things, like that cloaked person was much easier to see once they had that poison effect applied to them, so there's practical uses for it, but other than that, there's not really much going on with it. You'll find that it's only human enemies in this game, as I piss away 3 criticals for no reason, that are actually susceptible to that kind of damage. Which means, apart from the cool flavor, like this ghoul, for example, 250 poison resistance. Let's see if any numbers from that arise at all. No, not much is happening there. It's also got a bashing animation, which I was able to successfully utilize there for like the first time ever. Let's go over to our explosive variant now. Totally whiffed that one. And we'll go over to third person just to make this faster. Can't really go wrong with explosive weapons in this game, especially if they're unique. They just chop people up like that. Especially when you've got Demo Expert all the way. You didn't have to hit them to do a huge amount of damage. Look at that laser sight going through the walls there. I love that. There's been a pretty crazy run. Perhaps the biggest letdown is just the rate of fire on the standard one that I made, but other than that, it's been pretty good. We can kill this guy that we don't even see thanks to the hit markers. No numbers to displaying the damage, so, you know, the numbers were wise to my cheating, but the built-in to the vanilla game hit markers, they backed me there.
Nice.
And for a door breach maneuver like this, Very simple, just to mag dump the ground and let the explosive bullets take care of everything that you see. Is this weapon better than, say, the Kiloton Radium Rifle from the Far Harbor DLC? No. But the Kiloton Radium Rifle, as you can tell, it doesn't have this cool shark mouth on it, so it's got that going for it, which is nice. Also works with classic holstered weapons. Very useful feature if you want to wear this thing around. I quite like that. I swear that skull's in a different spot. Oh, maybe I was thinking the other side. I was looking at the other side before, but that's kind of cool. I don't think I'm going to get to this red painted Carla face look anytime soon. I'm so used to seeing the blue. Okay, now we'll use the hot rod because we haven't really used that one yet. There's nothing really to write home about with the incendiary legendary effect, so we'll just leave it. We'll just not even speak of it, and we'll start shooting this guy with some criticals. We could be doing a little bit better if we utilized sneak criticals, but we'll leave that for a later monster, I think. We're going to absolutely hammer him with all of the VAF's criticals that we've got thus far, and then run like hell. Ow. Please stop that. Okay, that was one stagger that I didn't need to take. I can just switch a few points to get rid of that stagger if I wanted to. Not happening, buddy. There's a Feral Ghoul Reaver cowering behind the tree. Oh, how the mighty have fallen since Fallout 3. That rhyme wasn't intentional. Alright, let's use something more explosive. Yes. I don't think we can win the DPS war as is, but we can certainly try. We'll take the crits as they come in, just so we can try to get as much damage as possible. And now we'll go through here. Whoop. Alright, he's mutated. There's going to be a war of attrition, I think. Yeah, we'll just let that one hit us. It's fine. We'll walk that one off. Utilizing the criticals, I'm getting... I was like 345 damage per bullet in that burst, which is not nothing. That's fairly significant. The explosive damage is icing on the cake, though. Oh, that didn't work out. Almost time to go into Nerd Rage, which might actually save me in this great DPS war. Alright, now it's go time. Whoops, third person, please. That's better. There we go. Alright, so without stealth, you can get the job done. Obviously, Nerd Rage helped a little bit there, and yep, that is the face of pure rage there. A cheeky smile after cheesing a boss like that with perks. Here, you've earned it. There you go, feeling better. Okay, time for a little bit of sniping, I think. And he's going to take on his buggy friends. So, I mean, we're going to eat up our AP very, very fast here, so it's probably not going to be super worth doing this, but I guess we'll just start getting DPS into him as he's fighting them, and on his approach, hitting him for thousands at a time there. Okay, now it's on. But by the time that he's gotten to me, I've almost killed him, and wow, okay. He can really turn on a dime, this guy. Maybe just bait him into attacks. That works pretty well, actually. This is the equivalent of a tank brigade cresting over a hill to take their shot and then falling back to reload, just like they did against the Russians, I think. Some German tank commander. They got pretty smart towards the end of the war, but yeah, that's that same sort of thing. I can't believe I've got the option to eat the corpse there. I don't usually like having the cannibal perk on because that's how you get Wendigos, but for some reason, Carla's probably feral enough to maybe entertain that idea. Don't. Maybe feral isn't the right word. Maybe crazy. You know, the people in the pack, oh, they act different. They're built different. Anyway, so we'll continue the sniping. Maybe we'll try to get some shots into these guys and... Well, hang on a second. I feel like my sights are a little bit off for a second there. Is that someone waiting, or is that... Oh, yep, that is definitely someone. These guys are small fish, so we'll move over to bigger fish. I don't particularly care if these guys want to follow me around. I'll deal with them as I see fit. But there's Mylark Queen. We should be able to kill her in one shot if we've got a crit. We don't. At least not in normal VATs. Yeah, very strong. Very strong. You wouldn't see that out of a normal submachine gun. Anyway, so I think old mate over here has learned of his majesty's demise. So we've got to deal with him. We absolutely shredded him just then. And unfortunately, I've been stealth cock-blocked by the mysterious stranger who promptly takes a claw to the face, and deservedly so. But that small distraction gave me a good enough window to drop that Mylark dude right there. And yeah, they can live for today, that's fine. That'll be my Christmas gift to them. Couple more hours on this earth. Anyway, so that there was the Madsen M50 submachine gun, and it was pretty fun. I think this mod is a little bit rough around the edges. Some of the customization options were really interesting. Some of them were kind of fun and memey, so there's nothing really that I could say for that. But the reload animations, they could be a little bit smoother, but you know, we all learn. You've got to start from somewhere, so we'll see better and better reload animations as this mod author progresses in their craft, so I won't complain about that too much. I just think probably the biggest gripe I have is just the rate of fire bug we've got with this thing, so easily enough to tune that up to allow you to fire this thing at a proper fire rate that you might see this thing shoot at. Or maybe that's animation based. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it myself. But if that's fixed, then this will be a pretty well balanced. Well, maybe one-shotting a Mylark Queen with a submachine gun might not be totally balanced, but it's very strong. It allows you to be strong if you pick the right attachments. But I think it's a high-quality weapon anyway. So if you want to see this weapon in your game, check out the link in the description. It should be down there. Thank you very much for watching.